The massive hall on Kepler Prime had seen many historic moments, but none quite like this. Ambassador John Carter sat perfectly still in his chair, watching 12 alien representatives argue among themselves as if humans were not even present. The Zephrian High Counselor Vexstar waved his forearms dramatically while speaking in his species' clicking language to the insectoid Kithara delegate. The hegemony speaker Kellanash remained motionless, his reptilian eyes fixed on Carter with what humans had learned to recognize as barely contained contempt. Carter had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. Every human diplomat, military officer, and scientist had known this day would come. The aliens had grown tired of humanity's rapid expansion across the galaxy. They feared human technology, human adaptability, and most of all, human independence. What had started as trade disputes had evolved into demands for complete submission. Admiral Lisa Hayes sat to Carter's right, her uniform crisp and her expression neutral. She had commanded the Earth Defense Fleet for 5 years and had seen alien arrogance firsthand. Every time human ships encountered alien patrols, the aliens demanded inspections, questioned human authority, and treated Earth's vessels as if they were pirates rather than legitimate explorers. The economic advisor Ryan Murphy shuffled through his data tablets, already knowing that no amount of statistics would change alien minds that had been made up long before this meeting began. The Zephrian delegate finally turned his attention to the human table. His translator device crackled to life, converting his harsh clicks into cold English words. The Federation has been patient with humanity's aggressive expansion, but that patience has limits. Your species has claimed 17 star systems in the past decade without proper authorization from the Galactic Council. This behavior must end immediately. Carter leaned forward slightly. High Counselor, we have followed all established protocols for claiming uninhabited systems. Our surveys showed no signs of intelligent life, no existing claims, and no violations of any treaty we have signed. We have the documentation to prove every claim was legitimate. The hegemony speaker's throat sac pulsed, a sign of irritation that human diplomats had learned to recognize. Your documentation is irrelevant. The Federation determines what constitutes proper expansion, not individual species acting alone. You will abandon these illegal colonies and return all claimed systems to Federation oversight for proper redistribution. Admiral Hayes felt her jaw tighten but kept her expression unchanged. She had visited those colonies personally. Families had built homes there, children had been born on those worlds, and entire communities had invested their lives in making those planets into something beautiful. The alien spoke of redistribution as if human lives meant nothing at all. Murphy cleared his throat and activated his display screen. Speaker Killanash, our economic analysis shows that human colonies have increased trade in those sectors by 400%. Our settlements have created jobs for dozens of alien species and established profitable trade routes that benefit everyone. Forcing us to abandon these worlds would damage the entire galactic economy. The Kithara delegate made a sound like grinding metal, which Murphy had learned meant laughter in their species. Human economics are primitive compared to Federation systems. We managed galactic trade for millennia before your species learned to leave their home planet. Your presence disrupts established patterns that have maintained peace and prosperity. Across the galaxy, Carter realized the aliens had no intention of negotiating in good faith. Every human proposal was dismissed without consideration. Every piece of evidence was ignored, and every attempt at compromise was met with demands for greater concessions. The Federation had made their decision before the meeting began, and this session was merely a formality to give their ultimatum the appearance of diplomatic process. Vexstar activated a holographic display showing the Federation's demands. Humanity will accept the following conditions immediately. First, all colonies established in the past 15 years will be evacuated within 6 months. Second, all human military vessels will be reduced to defensive configurations approved by Federation oversight. Third, all advanced human technologies will be shared with Federation science councils for proper evaluation and distribution. Fourth, no human ship may travel beyond designated trade routes without Federation escort. Fifth, Earth will accept permanent Federation observers on all major human worlds to ensure compliance with these requirements. The silence in the hall was deafening. Carter looked at Hayes, who gave an almost imperceptible shake of her head. Murphy closed his data tablets with a soft click that seemed to echo through the vast chamber. The three humans had known this moment would come, but hearing the demand spoken aloud still felt like a physical blow. Carter stood slowly, his movement drawing the attention of every alien in the room. His voice was calm and steady when he spoke, showing none of the anger burning inside him. High Counselor, these demands would effectively end human independence and make Earth a subject world rather than an equal member of the galactic community. We came here hoping to find a path forward that would benefit all our species, but what you are proposing is not negotiation. It is surrender. The Zephrian's translator conveyed what sounded like satisfaction. Your species has proven unable to manage its own expansion responsibly. The Federation must provide guidance to prevent further disruption of galactic order. These terms are not negotiable. Carter reached into his jacket and withdrew a small communication device. The aliens watched with curiosity as he activated it and spoke clearly into the receiver. This is Ambassador Carter. Protocol 7 is authorized. Repeat, Protocol 7 is now active. Hayes and Murphy both nodded slightly. Across human space, colony administrators were receiving the same message. Fleet commanders were opening sealed orders that had been prepared years earlier. Scientists were activating systems that had been built in secret. The message was simple but carried enormous implications. Humanity was withdrawing from the galactic community entirely. Speaker Kalanash's throat sac pulsed rapidly. What is Protocol 7? What are you doing? Carter placed the communication device back in his jacket and looked directly at each alien representative in turn. High Counselor, Speaker, delegates of the Federation, humanity hereby withdraws from all treaties, trade agreements, and diplomatic relationships with your governments. We renounce our membership in the Galactic Federation and declare our independence from all Federation authority. Earth and her colonies will pursue their own destiny among the stars. The chamber erupted in shocked voices as aliens spoke rapidly in their native languages. Vextar's forearms gestured wildly as he spoke to his advisors. The Kithara delegates' metallic clicking rose to an almost painful volume. Only Kalanash remained silent, his reptilian eyes studying Carter's face with something that might have been respect mixed with concern. Carter gathered his materials and nodded to Hayes and Murphy. The three humans walked toward the exit as alien voices continued to fill the chamber behind them. At the threshold, Carter turned back one final time. You offered us subjugation disguised as cooperation. We offered you partnership based on mutual respect. History will judge which approach serves the galaxy better. The humans left the chamber, and with them went humanity's last attempt at peaceful coexistence with the Federation. The aliens remained behind, confident that human stubbornness would collapse within months when the economic pressure became unbearable. They believed their technological superiority and numerical advantage made human compliance inevitable. None of them realized they had just made the greatest strategic mistake in galactic history. 6 months had passed since Ambassador Carter spoke those final words in the Federation chamber, and the galaxy was beginning to notice that something fundamental had changed. The bustling human trading posts that had once filled alien markets with exotic goods and rare materials now stood empty, their metal shutters locked and their landing pads collecting dust. Trade routes that had carried human cargo ships for decades showed nothing but empty space on Federation sensor networks. Captain Rachel Stone stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel New Horizons, watching the last convoy of human ships prepare to leave the inner galaxy forever. 23 vessels filled with families, equipment, and everything humanity valued were about to disappear from Federation space. Stone had commanded exploration missions for 8 years and had seen firsthand how alien attitudes toward humans had grown colder with each passing season. The convoy moved slowly through the Kepler system, following what appeared to be a standard hyperspace route toward the galactic rim. Stone knew the appearance was intentional. human ships needed to seem predictable one final time before they vanished completely. Her navigation officer, Lieutenant Dan Cooper, checked his instruments and confirmed that Federation sensors were tracking their movement just as expected. Behind them, the hegemony patrol ship Dominance followed at what its captain considered a safe distance. Commander Veltar had orders to observe human fleet movements and report any suspicious activity to Federation headquarters. His ship's sensors showed the human convoy moving at normal speeds along established trade routes, exactly what his intelligence briefings had predicted. The hegemony had been certain that humans would attempt to establish hidden bases somewhere. In the Outer Rim, Stone activated her command console and opened a secure channel to her fleet. All ships prepare for transition to Protocol 7 navigation. Engineering teams, bring the new drive systems online. Navigation, prepare for immediate departure from standard hyperspace routes. The reply from her chief engineer came back immediately. Captain, all systems are showing green. The new drives are ready for full activation. Estimated time to destination is 4 hours using the classified routes. Stone smiled slightly as she watched the hegemony ship maintaining its pursuit. Commander Veltar had no idea that human technology had advanced far beyond anything the Federation possessed. While alien scientists had grown comfortable with hyperspace technology that was thousands of years old, human researchers had been quietly developing entirely new methods of traveling between stars. The moment came exactly as planned. Stone gave the order and watched as her convoy simply vanished from normal space. The new horizons and every ship following her shifted into a form of travel that Federation science considered impossible. They were no longer using hyperspace at all, but moving through dimensions that alien sensors could not detect or track. Commander Veltar stared at his sensor displays in complete confusion. 23 human ships had been clearly visible on his screens, and now they showed nothing but empty space. His sensor officer ran diagnostics on all equipment while his communications specialist tried to contact Federation Command. The humans had not exploded, had not been destroyed, and had not entered hyperspace. They had simply ceased to exist. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Elena Rodriguez stood before the Global Assembly in Geneva. Representatives from every human nation and colony sat in the historic chamber, waiting to hear how their species would survive complete isolation from galactic civilization. Rodriguez had been preparing for this moment since her election. Knowing that the Federation would eventually demand humanity's complete submission, Rodriguez activated the holographic display showing human settlements across known space. Fellow citizens, today marks the beginning of a new chapter in human history. As of 6 hours ago, the last human ships have departed Federation space. All our colonies beyond the Sol system have either been evacuated or have activated Protocol 7 defenses. We are now completely independent from alien oversight. The Assembly listened in complete silence as Rodriguez explained what most of them had only suspected. For 15 years, human scientists and engineers had been developing technologies that the Federation considered impossible. Secret research facilities had been built in hidden locations, advanced manufacturing systems had been constructed beyond alien detection, and entire colonies had been established in star systems that did not appear on Federation charts. Dr. Nathan Brooks stepped forward to address the Assembly. As Director of Advanced Research, he had overseen the development of humanity's most classified projects. His presentation began with a simple statement that shocked even the most informed government officials. Ladies and gentlemen, humanity has achieved technological independence from the Federation. Our new propulsion systems allow travel without using hyperspace routes that aliens can track or intercept. Brooks activated displays showing human settlements that the Federation had never discovered. Dozens of worlds now housed human populations, protected by defensive systems that made detection impossible. Massive automated factories produced ships and equipment using manufacturing techniques that could outproduce anything the Federation possessed. The human population across all these hidden worlds now numbered in the billions. The presentation continued with details. about human technological achievements that sounded like science fiction even to the assembled leaders. Energy systems that harvested power from space itself, manufacturing processes that could build starships in days rather than years, and communication networks that operated faster than light without relying on hyperspace beacons that aliens could monitor. President Rodriguez returned to the podium as Brooks concluded his briefing. The Federation believed they could force us into submission by threatening economic isolation. They assumed we needed their technology and their markets to survive. They were wrong on both counts. Humanity has been preparing for independence since we first encountered alien civilizations, and today we begin the next phase of human expansion among the stars. Back in Federation space, intelligence agencies were beginning to realize the magnitude of their miscalculation. The Kithara Intelligence Service, considered the most effective information-gathering organization in the galaxy, found themselves completely unable to locate human settlements that had existed for years. Their best agents reported that human colonies had not been abandoned but had simply become invisible to all. Federation detection methods. Zephrian military analysts studied patrol reports with growing concern. Human ships that had once followed predictable routes through known hyperspace channels were no longer appearing on any sensors. Long-range scouts sent to investigate human territories returned with reports of impossible energy signatures and readings that made no sense according to established physics. The Hegemony Science Council convened emergency sessions to analyze the disappearance of the human convoy. Their greatest minds examined every piece of sensor data from Commander Veltar's patrol ship, trying to understand how 23 large vessels could vanish without entering hyperspace or leaving any trace of their passage. Federation trade administrators began receiving reports that worried them more than military concerns. Human goods that had become essential to dozens of alien economies were no longer available at any price. Rare minerals that only human colonies had been able to extract efficiently were becoming scarce. Medical supplies that human researchers had developed were running out on alien worlds that had grown dependent on them. The Altarian Mining Consortium discovered that asteroid fields they had planned to purchase from human companies were completely empty. Not stripped of valuable materials, but literally gone, as if entire asteroid belts had been moved to unknown locations. Survey teams found nothing but empty space where detailed Federation charts showed rich mineral deposits. On the hidden world of New Terra, Colonel Amy Foster supervised construction projects that would have amazed alien engineers. Massive automated systems built starships, weapons, and defensive installations at speeds that seemed impossible. The human workforce, now free from Federation restrictions, applied their creativity and determination to projects that had been planned in secret for decades. President Rodriguez concluded her address to the Global Assembly with words that would be remembered throughout human history. The Federation offered us a choice between submission and isolation. They believed isolation would weaken us, but they failed to understand human nature. We do not become weaker when challenged, we become stronger. We do not surrender when threatened, we adapt and overcome. Today begins humanity's true journey among the stars, and we will determine our own destiny. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity's withdrawal was not a retreat, but preparation for something far greater than anything the Federation had ever imagined. 2 years had passed since humanity vanished from Federation space, and the galaxy was experiencing phenomena that made even the most experienced alien commanders question their understanding of reality. The Altarian Mining Consortium had lost 3 entire asteroid fields overnight, with their mining equipment found floating in empty space where billions of tons of valuable ore had existed just hours before. Security recordings showed nothing unusual until the moment when the asteroid simply ceased to exist, leaving behind only the confused voices of human workers who claimed they were relocating the materials to safer storage locations. Commander Jake Phillips adjusted the controls of his stealth vessel as it drifted silently through Zephrian military space. The Whisper's Edge was unlike any ship the Federation had ever encountered, built using human technology that made detection virtually impossible. Phillips and his crew of 12 specialists had been observing alien fleet movements for 18 months, gathering intelligence while occasionally leaving subtle signs that humans were still watching. The psychological effect was exactly what human strategists had intended. Federation patrol ships would detect brief energy signatures that matched no known technology before their instruments suffered mysterious malfunctions. Communications officers reported intercepting transmissions in human languages, but when they attempted to trace the signals, their equipment would shut down completely. The message was clear to anyone paying attention: humanity possessed capabilities that Federation science could not understand or counter. Phillips watched through his ship's advanced sensors as a hegemony battlecruiser conducted what appeared to be a routine patrol near the Vega system. The massive vessel carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet, but Phillips knew it was virtually helpless against human technology. He activated a focused scanning beam that would examine the alien ship's defensive systems without causing permanent damage. The hegemony crew immediately detected the scan and went to combat alert. Captain Zixmuth ordered his weapons officers to target the source of the scan while his sensor operators searched desperately for any sign of an attacking vessel. Their displays showed empty space in all directions, but the scanning continued for exactly 30 seconds before stopping abruptly. The alien crew found themselves staring at instrument readings that made no sense according to everything they knew about space combat. Phillips smiled as he recorded the hegemony ship's confused response. His mission was not to engage in combat, but to remind the Federation that human eyes were always watching. The Whisper's Edge moved silently away from the patrol area, its passage undetected by the most sensitive instruments the aliens possessed. By the time Captain Zixmuth filed his report, Phillips was already observing another Federation fleet 3 star systems away on the hidden world of New Terra. Dr. Sarah Manning analyzed intelligence reports from dozens of human reconnaissance teams. Her strategic planning division had been monitoring Federation activities since the withdrawal began, and the patterns they observed revealed critical weaknesses in alien civilization. The Federation species had grown so dependent on each other that losing human participation had created cascading failures throughout their economic and military systems. Manning's reports showed that Federation trade routes were failing as resources once provided by human colonies became unavailable. The Merchants Guild of the Centauri Republic had declared bankruptcy after losing access to rare elements that only human mining operations had been able to extract efficiently. 3 major Zephrian manufacturing corporations had suspended production because they could no longer obtain the synthetic materials that human chemists had developed. More importantly, the Federation species were beginning to suspect each other of maintaining secret contacts with humanity. Zephrian intelligence services reported that hegemony commercial vessels were visiting star systems where human energy signatures had been detected. The Kithara accused the Altarians of hiding human trade agreements while publicly supporting Federation policies. Paranoia was spreading through the alien alliance as each species wondered whether their neighbors were secretly negotiating with the disappeared humans. Colonel Amy Foster stood in the command center of New Terra's primary military installation, reviewing construction reports that would have amazed Federation engineers. Human manufacturing capabilities had expanded beyond anything aliens thought possible, with automated systems producing starships, weapons, and defensive installations at rates that made traditional military thinking obsolete. The human population across all hidden worlds now numbered over 50 billion, supported by technology that made each world completely self-sufficient. Foster's screens displayed the locations of human settlements that Federation scouts had been searching for without success. 47 inhabited worlds, hundreds of mining operations, and dozens of research facilities operated in complete secrecy. Human civilization had not retreated, but had instead evolved into something far more advanced than what they had left behind in Federation space. The psychological warfare campaign was having exactly the effect human planners had predicted. Federation military commanders were changing patrol routes to avoid areas where human activity had been detected, effectively ceding large regions of space to an enemy they could not see or track. Alien merchant ships traveled in heavily defended convoys, fearing attacks that never came but left their crews exhausted and paranoid. The Draconis Empire, always the most aggressive Federation member, had attempted to expand into former human territories only to discover that their fleets suffered inexplicable equipment failures whenever they approached certain star systems. Ships that entered these areas reported navigation errors, communication blackouts, and sensor malfunctions that forced them to retreat. The few vessels that pressed deeper into human space returned with their crews, reporting disturbing dreams and memory gaps that medical officers could not explain. Phillips received new orders. As his reconnaissance mission continued, Human Command wanted him to make direct contact with a Federation patrol, not to attack, but to deliver a message that would spread throughout alien military networks. He selected a Zephrian destroyer operating alone near the edge of their territory, a vessel small enough that its crew would not attempt to engage a superior force. The Whisper's Edge materialized directly in front of the Zephrian ship, its cloaking systems deactivating to reveal a vessel unlike anything in Federation databases. The alien crew went to immediate combat alert, but their targeting systems could not achieve a weapons lock on the human ship. Phillips opened a communication channel and spoke in perfect Zephrian, his words translated by systems that the aliens could not jam or block. Commander Kexival of the destroyer Sharp Talon. This is Commander Phillips of the human vessel Whisper's Edge. We are not here to attack you or your crew. We bring a message for your government and all Federation leadership. Humanity offered partnership and received demands for submission. We offered cooperation and received threats of isolation. We have withdrawn from your space as you requested, but we have not forgotten the treatment we received. The Zephrian commander found himself unable to respond as his communication systems remained under human control. Phillips continued his message, knowing that every word would be recorded and transmitted to Federation headquarters. Tell your leaders that humanity watches from the darkness between stars. Tell them that we have grown beyond their understanding while they remain content with ancient technologies. Tell them that isolation has made us stronger, not weaker. The Whisper's Edge vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving the Zephrian crew staring at empty space and instrument readings that their science officers declared impossible. Commander Kexival filed a report that reached the highest levels of Federation command within hours, adding to the growing collection of encounters that proved humanity had achieved technological capabilities that bordered on the supernatural. Federation intelligence services found themselves completely unable to track human movements or predict human actions. The species that had once followed predictable trade routes and diplomatic protocols had become ghosts that appeared without warning and disappeared without trace. Every attempt to locate human settlements failed. Every effort to intercept human communications proved futile, and every plan to counter human activities was discovered and countered before it could be implemented. Dr. Manning's analysis concluded that the Federation was approaching a critical decision point. The alien alliance was weakening as paranoia and economic strain took their toll, while humanity continued to grow stronger in their hidden territories. The withdrawal that Federation leaders had expected to last months had stretched into years, and there was no sign that humans were suffering from their isolation. President Rodriguez reviewed Manning's reports from her office aboard the New Dawn, humanity's mobile command vessel that served as the capital of their expanding civilization. The ship itself was larger than most Federation space stations and possessed capabilities that made it effectively invincible by alien standards. Rodriguez knew that the next phase of human strategy would test whether the Federation could adapt to changed circumstances or would con. 5 years had passed since humanity vanished from Federation space, and the galaxy was no longer the same place it had been when Ambassador Carter walked out of that final negotiation. The Draconis Empire, emboldened by what they believed was human weakness, had begun expanding aggressively into territories that had once been under human protection. Their battle fleets, painted in the traditional red and gold of their warrior culture, moved with confidence through star systems that had been abandoned when humanity withdrew. Captain Greg Harrison stood on the bridge of the Silent Thunder, watching Draconis ships approach the hidden human colony of Haven's Rest. The colony had been established 3 years earlier in a system that Federation charts listed as uninhabitable, but human terraforming technology had transformed the barren world into a thriving settlement of 2 million people. Harrison's battleship was unlike anything the Federation had ever seen, built with human technology that made their most advanced vessels look like ancient relics. The Draconis fleet consisted of 12 heavy cruisers and their flagship, the Flame of Victory, commanded by Admiral Korthek, a veteran warrior who had conquered 17 worlds for the Empire. Korthek had studied human military tactics during the species' brief membership in the Federation and believed he understood their capabilities. His intelligence report suggested that humans relied on superior numbers and advanced sensors rather than individual ship superiority. Harrison activated his communication systems and opened a channel to the approaching Draconis fleet. His message was broadcast on all Federation frequencies, ensuring that every alien intelligence service would intercept and analyze his words. Admiral Korthek, this is Captain Harrison of the Terran Federation vessel Silent Thunder. You are approaching a human colony in violation of our territorial boundaries. Turn your fleet around and depart immediately. Korthek's response came back filled with the arrogance that had made the Draconis Empire so many enemies across the galaxy. Human vessel, your species abandoned all territorial claims when you fled Federation space like frightened children. This system belongs to the Empire now, and your single ship cannot stand against the might of our battle fleet. Surrender immediately, and we will consider allowing your colonists to live as our servants. Harrison smiled grimly as he gave orders to his crew. The Silent Thunder possessed weapons and defensive systems that had been developed in complete secrecy during humanity's withdrawal. While Federation species had grown comfortable with their ancient technologies, human scientists had revolutionized every aspect of space combat. The engagement that followed would demonstrate just how far humanity had advanced beyond alien understanding. The battle began when Admiral Korthek ordered his ships to attack formation. 12 Draconis cruisers moved to surround the single human vessel while their flagship prepared to deliver the killing blow. Their weapon systems, proven effective against Federation vessels for centuries, locked onto the Silent Thunder and fired simultaneously. Energy beams that could melt through the heaviest alien armor struck Harrison's ship and simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive systems that the Draconis had never encountered. Harrison waited until the alien attack was complete before responding. The Silent Thunder's weapons did not fire energy beams or projectiles that Draconis sensors could track. Instead, the human ship generated focused gravitational fields that bypassed conventional shields entirely. The first Draconis cruiser simply imploded, its hull collapsing as if crushed by an invisible hand. 3 more ships suffered catastrophic damage before their crews could even understand what was happening to them. Admiral Korthek watched in horror as his battle fleet was destroyed by technology that seemed to violate the basic laws of physics. His weapons could not penetrate human defenses, his sensors could not track human attacks, and his ships were being eliminated with surgical precision by an enemy that appeared completely invulnerable. The engagement lasted exactly 4 minutes and 23 seconds, ending when Harrison ceased fire and allowed the surviving Draconis vessels to retreat. The few ships that escaped carried news of the battle back to Draconis space, but their reports were initially dismissed as panic-induced fantasies. The Empire's military leaders could not accept that a single human vessel had destroyed most of their finest battle fleet without suffering any damage in return. Only when multiple independent reports confirmed the impossible details did the Draconis High Command begin to understand that humanity had evolved far beyond their previous capabilities. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Rodriguez authorized what human strategists called Phase 2 of their long-term plan. Dr. Kevin Walsh, who had replaced Nathan Brooks as Director of Advanced Research, led teams of specialists in making contact with younger Federation species that had grown tired of domination by the older powers. These species received subtle offers of technological assistance, mutual defense pacts, and most importantly, freedom from Federation control. The Orion Republic was the first to respond positively to human overtures. Their merchant fleets had profited greatly from human trade before the withdrawal, and their government had always resented Zephrian condescension and hegemony arrogance. Ambassador Lisa Chun, operating from a hidden diplomatic facility, offered the Orions access to human technology in exchange for providing shelter to human representatives throughout their territory. The Vegan Confederacy followed shortly after, their leadership recognizing that Federation policies had cost them billions in lost trade revenue. Their star systems became secret bases for human intelligence operations, while their merchant vessels began carrying human agents throughout Federation space. The younger Federation species discovered that humans offered genuine partnership, rather than the barely disguised slavery that the older powers had always demanded. High Counselor Vextar, watching his carefully constructed alliance crumble as species after species began questioning Federation authority, made the decision that would seal his species' fate. The Zephrian High Command authorized the largest military operation in their history, assembling a fleet of over 300 warships with orders to locate and destroy human space once and for all. The fleet was commanded by Admiral Zixara, the greatest military mind the Zephrians had ever produced. The massive armada departed Zephrian space with great ceremony, confident that their overwhelming numbers and proven combat experience would end the human problem permanently. Federation news services broadcast images of the mighty fleet as it departed for the Galactic Rim, where intelligence reports suggested human colonies might be located. The assembled firepower represented the combined military might of dozens of worlds and was considered invincible by every military analyst in Federation space. Admiral Zixara had studied every available report about human capabilities and believed she understood their strengths and weaknesses. Her battle plan called for systematic destruction of human settlements using overwhelming force, followed by occupation of any surviving colonies. The Zephrian fleet carried enough troops to garrison 100 worlds and enough firepower to sterilize entire star systems if necessary. The armada traveled for 6 weeks, through space that grew increasingly empty as they moved toward the galactic rim. Long-range sensors detected no signs of human activity, no energy signatures that suggested inhabited worlds, and no indication that any advanced civilization existed in the regions they were searching. Admiral Zixara began to suspect that human colonies were more deeply hidden than Federation intelligence had estimated. On the 7th week of their journey, the Zephrian fleet encountered something that changed everything. A single human vessel, smaller than most Federation patrol ships, appeared directly in front of their formation. The ship's hull bore markings that identified it as a diplomatic vessel, and its communication arrays were broadcasting on all standard Federation frequencies. Admiral Lisa Hayes, now serving as humanity's senior military commander, appeared on the main screen of every Zephrian ship simultaneously. Her image was calm and professional as she addressed the alien fleet that had come to destroy her species. The technological demonstration was intentional. Human systems had penetrated Zephrian security so completely that their most classified military communications were under human control. Hayes spoke with the same quiet dignity that had characterized human diplomacy since the failed negotiations years earlier. Admiral Zixara, I am Admiral Hayes of the Terran Federation Defense Force. Your fleet has entered human territorial space with hostile intent. You have one opportunity to turn around and return to Federation space unharmed. If you continue on your current course, you will be considered an invading force and will be dealt with accordingly. The Zephrian admiral responded with the arrogance that had characterized her species throughout their dealings with humanity. Human vessel, you face the combined might of 300 warships crewed by the finest warriors in the galaxy. Your single ship cannot threaten this fleet. Surrender immediately and we will grant you the honor of dying quickly. Hayes nodded sadly as if she had expected this response but had hoped for something better. Admiral, your species had the opportunity. to work with humanity as equals and partners. You chose instead to demand our sue. 10 years had passed since Ambassador Carter walked out of that final negotiation, and the galaxy bore no resemblance to the Federation-controlled space that had once seemed so permanent and unchanging. The news of the Zephrian fleet's destruction had spread through alien worlds like wildfire, carrying with it the terrifying realization that humanity had evolved far beyond anything the Federation could understand or counter. Trade networks that had operated for millennia collapsed as species focused on their own survival rather than mutual cooperation. Admiral Mike Torres commanded the first human fleet to openly enter Federation space in a decade, leading 50 vessels that moved through the void with grace and power that made alien observers weep with a mixture of fear and admiration. The ships were sleek and beautiful, their hulls seeming to bend light around them as they traveled through space using principles that Federation scientists still could not comprehend. Torres had orders to establish humanity's new position in galactic affairs, but his approach would be entirely different from the failed diplomacy of years past. The fleet's destination was the former Federation capital world of Kepler Prime, where the same chamber that had witnessed humanity's departure now housed emergency sessions of a rapidly dissolving alliance. Only 7 species remained in what had once been a confederation of 23 worlds, and even those were sending representatives more out of habit than any real belief in Federation authority. Torres opened communication channels as his fleet approached Kepler Prime, broadcasting on frequencies that reached every inhabited world in the sector. His message was simple and direct, carrying none of the pleading tone that had characterized earlier human diplomacy. This is Admiral Torres of the Terran Federation Navy. We are entering Kepler space to establish diplomatic relations with any species interested in peaceful coexistence and mutual respect. The response came from High Counselor Vextar, though his voice carried none of the arrogance that had once defined Zephrian communications. The destruction of their grand fleet had broken something fundamental in Zephrian society, leaving them desperate for any hope of survival. Admiral Torres, the Federation Council requests an immediate meeting to discuss terms for ending hostilities between our peoples. Torres' smile was visible in his reply, broadcast across the galaxy for all to hear. High Counselor, there are no hostilities between humanity and any species that approaches us with respect and honesty. We have no interest in conquest or domination. We offer partnership to those who desire it and neutrality to those who prefer independence. The choice is yours to make. President Rodriguez, now serving her 4th term as leader of the expanding Terran Federation, addressed the galaxy from her flagship New Dawn as it entered Kepler system alongside Torres' fleet. The massive vessel dwarfed every other ship in the sector, its size and obvious technological superiority serving as a gentle reminder of humanity's new capabilities. Rodriguez had been preparing for this moment since the day Carter activated Protocol 7. Her speech was broadcast simultaneously across thousands of worlds, reaching species that had never heard human voices and others that had nearly forgotten what human diplomacy sounded like. Citizens of the galaxy, 10 years ago humanity withdrew from Federation space after negotiations failed to produce mutual understanding. We offered partnership and received demands for submission. We offered cooperation and received threats of isolation. Rodriguez paused, allowing her words to be translated into hundreds of alien languages before continuing. That isolation taught us valuable lessons about our own capabilities and about the nature of galactic civilization. We learned that we did not need Federation approval to explore the stars, develop new technologies, or build thriving colonies. We learned that independence made us stronger rather than weaker. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The Orion Republic, which had been secretly cooperating with human agents for years, formally requested admission to the Terran Federation within hours of Rodriguez's speech. The Vegan Confederacy followed with offers of exclusive trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. Even former Federation core worlds began transmitting messages expressing interest in human protection and technological assistance. Captain Rachel, Stone, now promoted to admiral and serving as Torres' second-in-command, oversaw the integration of friendly alien species into humanity's expanding sphere of influence. The process was voluntary and respectful, everything the Federation had failed to offer humanity during those final negotiations. Former Federation worlds discovered that human leadership meant rapid technological advancement, expanded personal freedoms, and protection from aggressive neighbors. The transformation was remarkable to observe. Worlds that had stagnated under Federation control began flourishing as human technology and organizational methods spread throughout their societies. Medical advances that had taken Federation scientists decades to develop were shared freely with human allies. Manufacturing techniques that could produce starships in days rather than months became available to species that had spent centuries building single vessels. Dr. Walsh, now serving as humanity's Minister of Interspecies Relations, established integration protocols that respected alien cultures while offering them access to human achievements. The process was gradual and voluntary, allowing each species to adopt human technologies and methods at their own pace. No world was forced to change, but the benefits of cooperation became obvious quickly enough that most requested accelerated integration. The psychological impact on remaining Federation holdouts was devastating. High Counselor Vextar found himself ruling over a steadily shrinking alliance as species after species abandoned the Federation for human partnership. The hegemony, once the most powerful military force in the galaxy, discovered that half their member worlds had secretly negotiated separate peace treaties with humanity. Speaker Kalanash, the same hegemony representative who had dismissed human concerns during those final negotiations, requested a private meeting with Admiral Torres. The aging reptilian diplomat arrived aboard a single ship, a humble approach that contrasted sharply with the arrogance he had displayed years earlier. His first words revealed how completely the balance of power had shifted. Admiral Torres, I come to request terms for hegemony surrender. Our member worlds are abandoning us daily. Our military forces are no match for human technology, and our economy has collapsed without access to human trade networks. We formally acknowledge human superiority and request mercy for our peoples. Torres received the hegemony surrender aboard his flagship, but his response surprised observers throughout the galaxy. Speaker Kilanash, humanity has no interest in accepting anyone's surrender. We offer the hegemony the same choice we extend to all species, peaceful coexistence based on mutual respect. Your worlds are welcome to join the Terran Federation as equal partners, or they may remain independent with full human recognition of their sovereignty. The offer of equality rather than subjugation shocked Kilanash, who had expected demands for tribute, territorial concessions, and political submission. Human diplomacy had evolved beyond the winner-takes-all mentality that had defined Federation politics for millennia. Torres explained that humanity had learned the futility of ruling unwilling subjects and preferred cooperative partnerships that benefited everyone involved. President Rodriguez concluded humanity's return to galactic affairs with a ceremony held in the same chamber where Ambassador Carter had activated Protocol 7 a decade earlier. Representatives from 67 worlds attended, including former Federation members, newly contacted species, and civilizations that had remained hidden during the years of alien conflict. The ceremony was simple but historic. Rodriguez signed mutual cooperation agreements with species that had once demanded human submission, established trade relationships that benefited all participants, and created defense pacts that protected smaller worlds from aggressive neighbors. The Terran Federation was not replacing the old Federation but transcending it, offering something far better than what had come before. In the ruins of the former Federation capital, High Counselor Vextar sat alone in his office, reviewing recordings of those final negotiations from 10 years earlier. He could see now what his arrogance had blinded him to then. Humanity had never wanted to dominate other species, but had genuinely desired partnership and mutual growth. The Federation had thrown away the greatest opportunity in galactic history. Because they could not accept humans as equals, the final scene took place aboard the New Dawn as it departed Kepler Prime for humanity's expanding territories. Admiral Stone stood beside President Rodriguez, watching as human ships escorted vessels from dozens of allied species toward their new homes in Terran Federation space. The convoy represented something unprecedented in galactic history, a voluntary association of worlds united by shared values rather than conquest or coercion. Rodriguez reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. We offered them partnership and they demanded our submission. We offered cooperation and they threatened isolation. In the end, that isolation became our greatest gift because it forced us to discover what we could accomplish on our own. Stone nodded as she watched the peaceful flee.